If I had to start learning English all over again, I would do things so differently. Not because I didn't try, but because now I know better. Back then, I thought I had to be perfect. I thought fluency was about grammar rules and memorizing word lists, but I've lived through the struggle. I've stayed up till 2 a.m. Googling how to speak English fluently. I've felt the shame when someone didn't understand me, and I felt the pride when I finally said a sentence clearly. So, in this episode, I want to rewind time. I want to sit across from my younger self, smile, and say, here's what I've learned the hard way, and here's what I'd do differently, starting from zero. And maybe, just maybe, it will help you avoid some of the pain I went through. The first thing I would change, I wouldn't wait. I wouldn't wait to speak. I wouldn't wait to sound ready. I spent so many months reading textbooks, watching tutorials, and silently hoping one day I'd magically be fluent. But it doesn't work like that. Speaking isn't the result of fluency, it's the cause of it. I remember being terrified of making mistakes. I used to sit in class and whisper answers under my breath, afraid someone would laugh. But you know what? The real progress happened the day I started speaking out loud, even if it was to myself. I talked to my reflection while brushing my teeth. I described my food out loud. I repeated YouTube phrases like a parrot. It felt silly at first, but soon it became second nature. If I were starting today, I'd find a language partner right away. I'd join conversation apps, attend online speaking clubs, and talk to myself like my thoughts were on stage. Because the faster you start using your voice, the faster the fear fades. Here's something I did wrong for a long time. I tried to memorize random words. I had notebooks filled with vocabulary I never used. I thought I was learning, but I was just copying. The truth is, real vocabulary doesn't live in a notebook. It lives in your world. Now I connect words to my life. Instead of writing apple, noun, seb, I take a bite of an apple and say, this apple is juicy. I make sentences, I act them out. I use them in real conversations. If I were starting now, I'd focus on words I need, not words I might use someday, and I'd surround myself with them. Labels on objects, flashcards with images, YouTube subtitles. I'd immerse myself so deeply that English would stop being a subject and become part of my daily story. One of the biggest shifts, thinking in English. At first, I translated everything in my head. It was exhausting. Every sentence had to be converted like a math problem. But slowly, I trained my brain to think in English. How? I started with short, simple things. When I saw a chair, I said chair in my head. When I felt cold, I said, it's cold today. I stopped translating my thoughts. I replaced them. Over time, English became my thinking partner. Thinking in English isn't magic, it's muscle memory. The more you practice, the faster it becomes natural. Today, I catch myself dreaming in English, and trust me, nothing feels more powerful than that. English is not just about words, it's about rhythm, about intonation, about music. In my early days, I focused only on grammar, but I sounded robotic. Even when I got the sentence right, people asked me to repeat it. Then one day, I started shadowing native speakers. I mimicked their tone, their pauses, their melody. Suddenly, people started understanding me better. Not because I had a perfect accent, but because I sounded natural. If I were starting now, I'd treat English like a song. I listen more than I speak. I'd mimic actors, podcasters, and vloggers. I'd care less about sounding perfect and more about sounding human. Mistakes used to embarrass me. I once said kitchen instead of chicken and got laughed at. I avoided speaking for a week after that. But now I know. Mistakes are proof you're trying. They're necessary. What I needed back then was a safe space, a friend, a tutor, or even a journal where I could mess up without shame. So if I were starting again, I'd build that environment. I'd talk to people who support me. I'd write freely, knowing that errors are part of the journey. Every mistake is a step forward. And the only real mistake is being too afraid to begin. English doesn't have to be boring. And if it is, you're doing it wrong. When I stopped studying English and started living it, everything changed. I began watching makeup tutorials in English. I followed vloggers who shared my interests. I joined online forums about photography. English stopped being homework and started being a tool. If I could start over, I'd forget textbooks. I'd do what I love in English. Because when you enjoy what you're doing, learning becomes automatic. I used to cram 5 hours on weekends and then do nothing for days. It didn't stick. What helped me? Tiny habits every day. 10 minutes of shadowing while walking. Reading an English tweet every morning. Watching one short video before bed. If I started again, I'd go small and consistent. Because fluency doesn't come in a weekend. It comes from daily drops that fill a bucket over time. There was always someone better than me. Someone who spoke faster, knew more, sounded cooler. I let that comparison kill my confidence. Now I know the only person I should compare myself to is the past version of me. If I speak more confidently today than I did last month, I'm winning. If I learned one new phrase today, I'm growing. So please don't compare. Celebrate your steps no matter how small. The biggest change isn't about words, it's about belief. I used to feel like an outsider in English, like a visitor, but now I know. This language can be mine too. I belong in this conversation. I have a voice, and so do you. You don't need permission to learn. You don't need perfection to speak. You just need to start and keep going, even when it's hard. So if I were starting to learn English today, I'd do all these things. But more importantly, I'd be kinder to myself. I'd laugh at my mistakes. I'd enjoy the journey. And I'd remember that every fluent speaker once said hello for the first time. And now it's your turn. Speak today. Think in English. Use your voice. And never let fear hold you back. Thanks for listening. I'll see you in the next episode.